What the fuck is going on? My house just got hit by a tornado. Our car battery died and put us back, that then put us in the middle of a blizzard. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today is going to be a little bit of a life update, and I have some really crazy things that I want to share with you guys in this video. It's been a long time since I've done something like this on this channel. This was going to go up on my second channel, but I realized that this is actually probably good enough for my main channel, and I haven't done an update like this over here in a really long time, and I know that some of you guys liked them. I have been trying to keep it strictly paranormal content and not throw these things in here. I guess it kind of might tie in a way depending on what you think, but I know that some of you guys do enjoy these updates, so I just thought I would put it over here. And there's not very many of you over on my second channel, and it's kind of dead anyway, so I don't blame you for not being over there because I definitely do not keep up with it. But I wasn't going to be filming this video right now actually, so if I look like a hot mess, that's why, because I just threw on some shit and I was gonna go meet up with Mark to go to a Halloween store to pick out my costume, and I realized something else that is another problem to add that ties into this video as well, and that is that apparently on our trip back from California, at some point I left my keys somewhere. I don't know if I left them in a bathroom or in a hotel. I have no memory of having my keys at any point from our trip back, like when we got caught in a blizzard, which also ties into this story. I thought, well, since I can't go meet up with Mark to look at Halloween costumes because apparently I left my keys somewhere, that I might as well sit here and tell you guys about some of the things that happened that has led me to believe that I might potentially be the new Post Malone. I might be cursed, and this is gonna be a lengthy one. It might be a mess. I haven't sat down and filmed a video like this in a hot minute. I think the last one I did was the Demi Lovato video, which was like 2 weeks ago, so it's been a bit. It kind of takes me a little bit to get used to sitting here talking again, so it might be a little bit all over the place. I'm gonna talk a lot because I have a lot of things that I want to say. I have briefly talked about some of these things that I want to talk about in this video and previous videos, and some of the comments I had gotten on those videos. I'm going to be answering those things as well, and it might not seem relevant, but I know people are going to ask those questions, so I'm just going to put all of it in this video. But if you clicked on it because of the title of this video, yes, my house did get hit by a tornado. We've had bad things happen to us since we moved into this house in August of last year, August of 2018. So some of the things that have happened since we purchased this house: 2 of our cats died. We've had these cats for years, but within the same month of us moving in this house, I lost my cat Bailey, and then not even a year of us being in this house, we also lost Callie, who was healthy when we moved in. The other thing that has happened is that our house has flooded about 10 times. It's been very bad. It has gotten in the middle of me filming. I don't know if you guys noticed. Where's all these videos I've been promising? I have had more panic attacks than I can count because of the rain coming in our house and it flooding so bad. We did a mold test, and there is mold in the house, which has made me wonder, is that what happened to my cats? Were they like badly allergic? I don't know. Don't even like speculating on it because it's so stressful. And also I feel like with my friends and everyone I know, I've become the girl that talks about her house all the time because it has consumed my brain. It's all I can think about, because when it floods, it turns, I have to wear rain boots in my house. It's bad. And if you guys have been with me for a while, when I was sharing a lot about my life before I went strictly to just paranormal, when I was sharing like story times and talking to you guys more about things personally, how badly I wanted out of that apartment and all the things that were going wrong. And then guys, it's been worse since we moved in here. My mental health hasn't been great. It's affected my whole family. My mom and my dad, like, they can't sleep when it rains because they're worried that their daughter's house is gonna flood. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We had this really bad storm where the only room that didn't flood in our whole house was our master bathroom. Like, there was water that was coming from this end of the house and was dripping off into the garage on this end of the house. And I don't have a tiny house. Like, it's a decent sized 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Everywhere was flooded but one bathroom. But when I had previously done a video talking about the flooding, I wasn't making out to be as big of an issue as it is. I talked about how I felt like our realtor was shady and our home inspector was shady, and I had some people commenting that I need to sue, and that's another reason why I haven't done this video, is because I don't know what's okay legally to talk about, what could get me in trouble. Because trust me, I would love to get on here and just shit all over the people that sold us this house. I'm not gonna do that because I don't know legally what I can or cannot say, and when it comes to the legal side of things, I'm not entirely sure. At this moment, we're plotting and planning our attack and who it is going to be on. So I gotta kind of keep that quiet, but if you guys catch my drift, there are things in the works. We've talked to lawyers and stuff like that. But I got a lot of comments from you guys on the video where I talked about the flooding before, where you guys were asking me, like, did you guys get an inspector? Did you guys, like, aren't there forms that the previous homeowners are supposed to fill out that let you know if this had happened and blah, 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 and like kind of like questioning if me and Mark took the right steps. And guys, we paid every extra amount of money we needed to pay to have the correct people come in to let us know if there was an issue, and nobody told us anything. I remember sitting there having a conversation with our inspector where we went out into the backyard, and he was like, you know what, there's something that really bothers me about this house. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, you guys don't have any rain gutters. And I was like, that's a really weird thing to have an issue with. He's like, your house doesn't have rain gutters, and what that does over a period of time is that if you don't have rain gutters, that the water just rushes off the side of the roof, and because it's not being guided away from the house, that it can eventually cause your foundation to sink. And I remember looking at him and being like, can you see if like the foundation has been sinking? Like, is this a big problem? Like, and he specifically looked at me and said, no, there's no foundation issues. This isn't something you guys need to worry about yet, but just in the future, maybe in a couple years or something, just make sure you guys get some rain gutters, no big deal. And really dusted this off as something that wasn't that big of a deal, wasn't something that we would have to worry about. And now I'm like, oh, we aren't even professionals, and now that we've moved in and we've seen the flooding, we can see the issues that you clearly saw. The realtor, everyone knew. I almost feel like they knew the people that lived in this house and were trying to help them make a sell. I really don't know, but whatever it was, there was a conspiracy with it, and even taking all the correct steps, we ended up purchasing a house that floods very badly. And I don't know how we're gonna get out of it, because I'll never lie to the people we go to sell it to and tell them that that's never happened. We're gonna do what we can to fix the flooding. Who's gonna wanna buy it? Like, am I stuck in Arkansas for the rest of my life? It's scary, and I'm very angry. I've been very angry. I feel like those people killed my cats. I feel like I took them in a house with a black mold. We have all the photos, all the videos, all the things to show how bad it's been. I have videos where I'm trying to film the flooding in the middle of a panic attack. I have not been okay since we moved in here because of this. There's a lot of work I could be investing in my channel that I'm not, because I don't want to come in this office, because when it floods, this office is one of the first rooms that flood. Guiding into the next half of this video, I did want to make it known that we've had bad luck since we moved in this house. So, you know, to say that it's because of going to Zach Bagans and the Dybbuk box is kind of more like clickbaity worthy, but I have to be honest and say that we've had bad luck before this. I don't know what's connected or what isn't, but it is really, really, really weird when you hear some of the stories involved with the Dybbuk box, and then you hear this whole situation that happened right after we visited Zach Bagans' haunted museum. It's really weird. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about it. So on the 18th of October, while we were out in Las Vegas and Los Angeles, because we were in Las Vegas, I was with my friends, and I had never been to the Zach Bagans Haunted Museum. I've been a Zach Bagans fan for a long time. I was super excited to go there, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now, and still currently, I don't necessarily believe the Dybbuk box. I really like Post Malone though. And I am channeling him for this video. Also, I am not the people who have experienced it. I can see how what occurred with us was really strange. Because of some of the stories that I've heard about the Dybbuk box cursing people, and if you touch it, really bad things will happen to you, and it's said that touching the Dybbuk box or opening the Dybbuk box could be fatal. And there's all of these viral stories attached to the Dybbuk box. People on YouTube talk about it, there's other Dybbuk boxes, and basically they trap a demon inside of it, and you're supposed to leave it shut. So at Zach Bagans Museum, they have the Dybbuk box in a glass case where you can't touch it. You're not supposed to touch the glass. I didn't touch it or anything. I didn't do anything disrespectful. I don't know if I necessarily believe it, but I'm also not gonna go in there and just like touch shit that I'm not supposed to touch. Do you know what I mean? The tour guide claimed she had her face slammed into it, which seems like really out there, so I didn't really know if I believed that or not. And then supposedly the salt that they have poured around the Dybbuk box got moved by itself, which I did notice while looking at the Dybbuk box, that the salt was kind of moved around, but someone could have done it. I don't know. First of all, completely unrelated, Zach Bagans Museum is not overrated. It is really, really cool in there. There are some rooms that I wish that I didn't go into, like the serial killer torture room and stuff like that. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's never been, but if you don't like serial killer artifacts, when they say don't go in a room because it's gonna be gruesome, just skip that one, because there was definitely one I wish I didn't go in. But his museum overall was really, really awesome. It was a really great experience. There were some spooky things that happened. There were even some jump scares. Like, it was really cool. And we left, went on with our business. And the only reason why I am mentioning it is not because I could very easily get on here and make a video and be like, oh my God, the Dybbuk box cursed me, and here's all these things that happened after we went there, but I'm not gonna do that because I don't believe that. But at the same time, I think it's important to note because this happened 2 days after we went there. Is it connected? I don't know. Like, I've had really bad luck for the past year, luck, whatever you wanna call it. I've had a lot of crazy things happen, especially involving this house. I've had nights where I've sat there and I've been like, why is this happening? Like, what did I do wrong in the past to make this happen today? 2 days after that, when we got back to LA, we were gonna go to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. And we went there, we did all the mazes. It was so much fun. So we left Halloween Horror Nights and my mom is texting me images of a storm that's rolling through, and we were not concerned about tornadoes at this point. We were concerned about the flooding, and my mom is like praying and she's freaking out. My dad was house sitting and checking in on my cats 2 times a day to make sure that they were okay and that they could see like a human being. My mom was texting me, freaking out, thinking that my house was gonna flood, and I was just pretty much like, well, we picked everything up and we already have damage to some of our furniture from the water, so those things were fine. I was like, there's not really anything that you guys can do. And then my mom starts texting me about how they're saying that there's weather that's on the way or something to that effect that has tornadoes in it. If you guys have been like diehards and you watch all of my videos, you've probably heard me mention I live in tornado land. I have been dealing with tornado scares my whole life. I have been experiencing having funnel clouds over my home and having tornado damage in my town. I've seen debris flying through the air. I've had to hide in bathrooms under mattresses. I have dealt with that my whole life. It's been so normal, especially in the spring. Not in October though. October was really weird that all of a sudden that there's just this really bad weather that's appearing with tornadoes in it. It's usually like a spring thing over here in the Arkansas, Oklahoma area. But even with that, I have experienced it so much my entire life, I didn't really think that there would be anything to worry about. Now, I did have anxiety building up in me, but at the time I didn't know if it was because a lot being texted at me and I couldn't do anything about it. Like, I can't do anything if there's a tornado. I can't do anything if my house floods. Like, there's nothing I can do. I'm all the way in California right now. Like, I'm not home. I can't fix it. So I think that maybe I had anxiety from that, or was I having anxiety to an extra level than normal when tornadoes come through because of the fact that that shit was about to hit my house. It's crazy to me, out of all the places that I've lived in this area where tornadoes are prominent, especially in the spring. I'm like an hour away from Joplin. I don't know if you guys knew what happened with Joplin, but we've had a lot of close calls. But out of every place I've ever lived, the one that gets hit by a tornado is the one that has been flooding like every single fucking month since we moved in, that my 2 cats have passed away in. What are the odds, right? I did not know that night that my house was actually hit. I woke up the next day and my mom's like, okay, there are some buildings that got demolished that are literally like not even half a mile from my house. And my mom calls and she's like, okay, so you guys now have a tree. And I'm like, what do you mean we have a tree? I don't have a tree in my yard. I don't have a tree in my front yard. I don't have a tree in my backyard. And basically my mom was like, so the tornado did come through your area. Your house is standing, but you're missing roof shingles. There's part of my roof that was being pulled out from the nails. I have a bunch of shingles missing. I have a whole bunch of siding that's ripped off, and our neighbor's tree, which is right there, literally blew over, landed, probably hit our house and then fell off to the side of it, destroyed this side of our fence. Our other side of the fence has like boards missing out of it. So currently right now as I'm speaking, right above me in this room, there are shingles missing, siding missing on this side of the house, and there's a tree up against my house. Luckily it did not fall in my house. I don't know how it didn't. I am so thankful it didn't. It could have been so much worse. It was crazy pulling into my neighborhood because it had already been a few days since this had happened, but all through my neighborhood there are trees down. But we did get lucky because someone ended up dying in the storm from a tree landing inside of their house and landing on them, and it killed them. And my fiance Mark and I, we went driving around up in the Rogers area of Arkansas, and there was damage just all throughout that area, and it was really hard to see. I feel like we got like so lucky, but it's really hard to see people's houses just destroyed. I'm so thankful ours wasn't, because when my mom called me and she started telling me about the damages, I'm like, where are my cats? Because at first I'm like, I thought my house was open and then they got out, but no, my cats are okay. They have been very panicked since we got home, being very, very abnormal. I feel so bad. I feel so guilty. And oddly enough, our house didn't flood, but here comes the tornado. I wish I could show you guys this image, but I can't because I don't want you guys to stalk me. But the thing that was really weird to me about this tornado is that we were still in California. We hadn't seen the damages yet. We were staying in Michael's house. Mark woke me up and he's like, I want you to look at this picture really quick. And so he shows me a picture they had made to show where the tornado formed and the direction that it went, and the trail, the path that it took before it went back up. I could not believe it when I looked at this image. I wish I could show it to you guys, but I'm sure you guys understand, like, I cannot get stalked here, and this is real. This is real. This happened. This is not YouTube clickbait worthy. This is fucking real. He shows me this image, and the tornado formed right over our house. On this map, where they showed the red line, it began right in our neighborhood. Are you kidding me? I have lived over here my whole life and I've never been hit by a tornado ever, but it happens when we're gone. And at the time, I didn't make that connection in my head that we just saw the Dybbuk box and stuff like that. And honestly, I didn't make it for a couple days, but I made it once more bad things started happening. Our trip back home got delayed so bad we made it home a day late because of everything that kept going wrong. And I'm gonna try and keep this brief because I don't want this video to be too long. But the first thing that happened was him and I had a couple stops that we had to make in Los Angeles before we headed back home. Like, we took Joey and got some coffee bean, and then Mark needed a drink from Coffee Bean that Coffee Bean didn't have, so then we had to go like 30 minutes away after dropping Joey off to get different Coffee Bean and blah, blah, blah. We're doing all this stuff, and then finally we're hungry, and I'm like, okay, we need food, so let's stop at Subway. So we stop at Subway by the airport before heading out, or one of the airports in LA. So we had planned on driving, I think it was like 9 or 11 hours, one of the two, I can't remember, from LA to Albuquerque, and that's where we were gonna sleep that night and then go from Albuquerque back home, and it was like the halfway point. I had already booked the hotel and tried to save a couple bucks by booking the hotel that did not have free cancellation, which is always a bad idea. Do you guys see where this is going? We stop at Subway, we get our sandwiches, and Mark was waiting on the bathroom. There was someone in it, and I didn't want to wait anymore, so I'm like, give me the keys. So I take the keys, I walk out to the car with my sandwich, I go and I unlock the car, I sit down, I put the keys in the ignition, and I turn them. And for a split second, my radio comes on and then goes off, and there's nothing. So I turn the keys again, not even cranking, it's just nothing, it's completely dead. My car had nothing on it, there was no reason for the battery to die. We were right by a gas station, and so Mark went in and he found this really, really nice guy that said he would come over and try and give us a jump. So we're trying to get my car to jump, but it's not jumping, it's not working. But luckily this guy was very knowledgeable with inside of the engine and stuff like that, and he was able to tell us that, I don't remember the name of it, so I'm not even gonna try, but he was able to tell us that the only problem that it was having currently was the screws that were, there was like a type of screw, don't remember the name of it, that was going in the battery that had corrosion over it. So he guided us to the AutoZone, we got the screw thing that we needed, put it in, my car has started fine ever since. But that put us off like 2 hours because we had to get in and by we I mean I sat on my ass and Mark did it, but he had to get in there and fix the battery. And I'm sitting out there thinking, is this a joke? Like, this could have happened when we were still with Michael and Joey and we had our friends that could help us, instead of out here by this random Subway, gas station, by an airport. Don't even know if it's safe over here. That alone, because of how many hours it added on to it, we were so exhausted. We had like 6 more hours of driving to go, and we're like, there's no way we're gonna be able to make it to the Albuquerque hotel. We weren't gonna get there till like 4 in the morning and just get like a couple hours of sleep. So we're like, we're just gonna lose that money and book another hotel and lose that money and get some sleep and start again tomorrow and make it home. So we booked this hotel, we sleep, do not realize what was going to happen the next day. So we start driving the next day. We're going through this beautiful weather. There is no reason to think it's gonna start snowing at any point, especially in Texas. And I can show you guys this image because I took screenshots because I was like, this is fucking weird. So we start driving through Texas, and then gradually the snow starts to pick up, and then before you know it, we're in the middle of a fucking blizzard with more snow than I've seen in a long time, because in Arkansas it won't snow like this anymore. And it's just coming down, it's piling up on the car, it's sticking on the roads, and everyone is slipping and sliding everywhere. I shit you not, we moved about a half a mile in almost 2 hours. There were cars on the side of the road, and we were going so slow that it kept saying that we were almost to Amarillo for hours. And I just kept watching the time it would go from like, we're gonna be there in 29 minutes to we're not gonna be there for 52 minutes. And it was just slower and slower and slower. And then I look at the road and the traffic is backed up from before you get to Amarillo, Texas and after you get to Amarillo, Texas. And it's already dark at this point. I'm like, Mark, we're not gonna get home until like 7 in the morning. If we even make it out of this, we're sliding all over the road going 9 miles an hour. That's how slippery the roads were. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is this life? What the fuck is going on in my life? My house just got hit by a tornado. Our car battery died and put us back, that then put us in the middle of a blizzard. If the car battery thing hadn't happened, we would have made pretty decent time, and we wouldn't have had to get another hotel, and we wouldn't be in the middle of this blizzard. So then I open up the Google map because I want to see the Google map. That sounded so granny to me, but I open up Google Maps because I wanted to see if like where else is snowing in the United States? Nowhere. Nowhere else is snowing in the United States. Not even more north of us. The only place that had a blizzard in the entire fucking United States of America was literally exactly where Mark and I were, right in the fucking center of it. Because we got caught in the middle of this blizzard, we had to buy another hotel in the middle of Amarillo and put us off another day. Mark was supposed to go to work the next day, couldn't. I'm still just shook. We've been back home and I have looked at everything that's happened and I'm like, what are the odds? I know everyone has their shit, and I'm not saying I'm the only person that's getting crashed down upon right now. Like, I know that there's a lot of people that have their stuff. Like, there was someone that died in that tornado. I am so lucky. I am so fortunate. We are all so fortunate. Our house could be destroyed right now because there are some people's houses that got it really, really, really bad. It could be worse. It could be worse. And we really did have an amazing trip, and I'm not knocking any of that. I feel like we're very fortunate, so I don't want to just sit here and be like, oh, look at all these bad things that have happened to me, when people have it so much worse. So don't get me wrong, and I did ask you guys on Twitter if you guys wanted to see this, and a lot of you guys did, so I thought that I would share it with you guys. And I know it sounds really complainy, and I'm sure all of my friends are sick of me. I can't express to you guys what it's done to my mental health. It hasn't been the best. I've been working on it though. Like, I haven't just been sitting there just letting it destroy me. I'm trying to find the positives. I'm trying to look forward to better things and, you know, keep my sights set on the fact that it could be worse and that we are very fortunate. It's just, when you look at everything as a whole, Mark and I are just trying to figure out like how this many things that are big things that affect your entire life have gone wrong since we moved in here. I am trying to keep this so surface level because it would be so easy for me to sit here and cry right now about this, because it's been really, really hard. It's been really hard. I haven't really felt like sharing a lot of this stuff because I haven't wanted to be that YouTuber, you know, that I've been in the past. And if you guys notice, I've privated a lot of my story time videos because I just don't want to be that YouTuber that just gets on here and like complains and like talks about all this drama all the time. And like I wanted to be more of a place where you guys could be entertained. And I know that I've had so many things go wrong that it's like, I know what that makes me sound like, and I don't want to sound like I'm looking for sympathy or pity or anything like that. I'm not. It's just, isn't it crazy? And I really do want to hear your guys' thoughts. I love filming videos and having like a conclusion, and I don't have a conclusion to this one. I don't even know where to take it from here. It's just, what are the odds of all of those things? Am I right? I don't know how else to end this video, but if you guys enjoyed it, might as well leave a tornado emoji because that's what happened. Oh, and also don't forget why I'm filming this video right now, because apparently during this same trip I left my keys somewhere. So what are the odds? Have you guys ever had this many things go wrong all at once? If so, let me know how I'm gonna get through it and survive it, because that